Drudge Report headlines. Thunder Trump, I am your voice. 76 minutes to save America. Peter Thiel. Peter Thiel. Fake culture wars only distract us from our economic decline. RNC gives gay Republicans standing ovation. This confirms everything I've ever said about the present state of the white psyche. Really, Donald? Really, Donald? I am your voice. That's what you say? Are you my voice? Are you my voice? When you say, how about this? Oh, here's a good one. Trump vows to protect LGBTQ citizens. So he's listening to his golden retriever girl handlers. You gotta add the Q at the end. You gotta add the Q at the end. I completely expect 1%ers like Donald Trump and Peter Thiel to be completely out of touch. That's to be expected. That's fine. I'm not expecting them to understand the nature of things. But let's go back to what Peter Thiel says. He says that fake culture wars only distract us from our economic decline. Have you looked at a newspaper? Have you looked at headlines, you dipshit? Fags left and right suing white, cishet, evil, heterosexual Christians for not baking them a cake. Go back to the Memories Pizza fiasco, who found themselves at the center of a religious freedom bill controversy that the Indiana governor started. But the lightning rod was not the governor, but this small town pizzeria, who answered some questions that a golden retriever girl reporter asked. Memories Pizza is somewhere in Indiana, some small town in Indiana of like 2,000 people, these poor unassuming people. This golden retriever girl asks them, would you cater a gay wedding? And they said, no, we'd say no. And what did they get for their thanks? They got death threats from homosexuals and homophiles like Donald Trump, like Ivanka Trump, like Peter Thiel, left and right, up and down. They couldn't get to their business because people were parked out in front of it. I think that was a detail that was covered, but you know, that doesn't matter. Regardless, whatever grief they received, I documented on the show. I read all the death threats and wow comments from the LGBTQ community that Donald Trump wants to protect. Before I go any further, I would like to read you a bit from a speech Malcolm X did, I believe, back in 1963, if this document's date is to be believed. But here's what he said. This is, for Malcolm X speech he did. He says, let us examine briefly some of the tricky strategy used by white liberals to harness and exploit the political energies of the Negro. The crooked politicians in Washington, D.C. purposely make a big noise over the proposed civil rights legislation. By blowing up the civil rights issue, they skillfully add false importance to the Negro civil rights quote-unquote leaders. Once the image of these Negro civil rights quote-unquote leaders has been blown up way beyond its proper proportion, these same Negro civil rights leaders are then used by white liberals to influence and control the Negro voters, all for the benefit of the white politicians who pose as liberals, who pose as friends of the Negro. White conservatives aren't friends of the Negro either, but they at least don't try to hide it. They are like wolves. They show their teeth in a snarl that keeps the Negro always aware of where he stands with them. But the white liberals are foxes, who also show their teeth to the Negro, but pretend that they are smiling. The white liberals are more dangerous than the conservatives. They lure the Negro, and the Negro runs from the growling wolf. He flees into the open jaws of the smiling fox. Ladies and gentlemen, the Republican Party is the heterosexual's smiling fox. He is the father's smiling fox. He is the mother's smiling fox. Worse if you are Christian. Let's put this issue into further context. I cited a Ravi Zacharias presentation a number of weeks back. He so eloquently stated that God made the home before he made the church. Man, woman, and child. The family, the home. The essence of society. The worst kept secret of the LGBT community that Donald Trump so strongly desires to protect. But I'm not going to keep calling them that. I'm going to keep calling them sodomites. The sodomites hate the family. The sodomite hates the family more than anything. Because the sodomite must confront his inferiority. When a sodomite looks at a family, he realizes, oh yeah, that's what continues society, not my perversion, not my hedonism, not my diseases. The sodomite really thinks that he's God. But all he creates is death and destruction and depravity. When you remind him that he himself comes from a family, he is a product of thousands of years of a genetic legacy, he doesn't like that too much. Not in the least bit. So let's go back to Peter Thiel's comment here. RNC gives gay Republicans standing ovation. Of course they do. They're permanently affixed to the glory hole. Just like, however, XX percentage. It's a majority of white people who are affixed to the glory hole. So why does he say this? That fake culture wars only distract us from our economic decline. What, one you yourself contributes to? Can you name a competitor to PayPal? Amazon. Can you name a competitor to Amazon? No, not really. So there you go. You have PayPal or Amazon. Peter Thiel has a vested interest in keeping your mind off of societal and cultural decay. That which he contributes directly to. Oh, and another thing, the economic decline he directly contributes to. Let's not forget that. But he wants to give the little people jobs. He wants to keep you economically subservient to the sodomite. Because that's what he is. I don't have to discuss, again, the psyche of the sodomite, which is that of a megalomaniac. And so we go back to Donald Trump. I am your voice. 76 minutes to save America. I guess that was how long his speech was. But he says, I am your voice. I am your voice. You are a smiling fox. That's what you are. So let's say it once more with feeling. The LGBTQ community that you want to protect, that your golden retriever girl handlers want to protect, hate families. They hate the family. They represent the antithesis of the family. The family is the fundamental building block of all cultures, all societies. And the sodomite will stop at nothing to destroy the family. Because the family is everything they are not. So Donald Trump, I'll read that headline again. Donald Trump vows to protect LGBTQ citizens. He vows to protect the sodomite. In other words, he vows to protect that which destroys families. And if you destroy the family, you destroy civilization. Pastor James David Manning was talking about this, the Saudi Arabian relationship with Hillary Clinton. He's talking about it, why she's getting money despite the fact that she also vows to protect the LGBTQ community, the sodomite community. And to some people, this might seem like a contradiction. She's taking money from the elites of a nation that punishes homosexual acts by death. A clueless right-winger looks at this and says, Hillary's the real homophobe. Liberals are the real homophobes. You're stupid. Shut up, and you're stupid. Just one more just to make sure you understand. Let's look at it from the perspective of the Saudi Arabian elites. They know all about Hillary's I'm running for president video and how it was nothing but fags and minorities. That's all it was. The Arab elites, I'm sure, are excellent students of their own history, of their own civilization's trajectory. Boy rape is common all throughout the Middle East. This is how the homosexual spreads his virus, after all. Children have weak immune systems. The Arabs are, I'm sure, very aware of the damage the sodomite has caused to their societies. And maybe they don't like Western nations that much. Their track record seems to suggest that they have such a sentiment. They would also like to see Western nations brought to their knees. Now, again, they seem to be much smarter students of history compared to us. They understand how civilizations rise. They understand the albatross. They understand what brings a nation to its knees. They fund groups who send suicide bombers onto train stations. They do that. But they realize you could take chunks out of pieces of land, pieces of geography. You can blow people to bits. You can turn them into just little red bits on the ground, a stain on the ground. But at most, by sending suicide bombers into Western nations, you take out a dozen every couple of months. You're not going to lower their population by doing that. It's kind of hard to kill a lot of people at once, short of nuclear warfare. And they're smart enough to understand that's not good for them either, starting a nuclear war. So, what do? Suicide bombing, their best option. It's inefficient. Shooting up nightclubs, inefficient. Staging these large-scale terrorist attacks, very inefficient. So they outsource that duty to a bunch of wayward curmudgeons who, belong to a loose band of misfits, causing their trouble wherever they go. And those groups like ISIS, Al-Qaeda, Taliban, they'll carry on, they'll do what they do, causing some tertiary damage, not significant. No, the Saudis realize that the best way to bring a nation to its knees, the best way to erode a nation, to remove it, to make it weak, is by doing it from within. So they give money to that which sells depravity to the common person. That sells hedonism to the common person, because that's all the common person really understands. Overly salty food, loud music, movies where shit blows up. They really like that. They also like anything that will enable their treacherous anti-family bullshit because it feels good. And they'll vote for anything that will let those good times roll. So enter Hillary Clinton. The Saudis are like, oh, she likes homos, huh? Yeah, that didn't work out so well for us Arabs. Let's promote it in the West. Let's fund the politicians who will promote that in the West. That way the West will become crippled, and by proxy we will become stronger. The Arabs are bankrolling the candidate who represents cultural decay. Unfortunately, they're not paying close enough attention to Donald Trump because he is also now doing the same thing. Except he is the smiling fox, and she's the wolf baring her teeth at us heterosexuals, us people who are pro-family. And I'll read that headline again. Donald Trump says, "I am your voice." He also vows to protect the sodomite community. Sodomite citizens. Donald Trump, you are not my voice. Hillary Clinton, you are not my voice. But you never pretended to be. The nerve of this faggot.
Fake culture wars only distract us from our economic decline.
Okay, Thiel, you somehow convince companies to move their factories back to America, where they will pay unionized slobs exorbitant sums of money relative to the amount of actual work they're doing. You give idle prole hands something to do for 8 hours a day. And then what? People like you are still going to be in the classrooms selling faggotry to Joe Blow's kid, to factory worker's kid, if he's not already a faggot himself like you. Parents will still defer child-rearing responsibilities, their obligation to raise children. They'll defer all of that to their local school district. After all, what else is their tax money going to be used for? They're putting it to good work. I get it. Raising kids is hard. You'd rather have schools do it. You'd rather have the sodomites working as school teachers and administrators do it for you. But at least you have a little bit more money now. At least. And now people are sending me pictures of their frog totems that they worship at, along with a picture of Donald Trump on some sort of fake money and a book that nobody actually reads. Again, today's irony is tomorrow's sincerity. Yesterday they were posting, oh, look at my green frog picture, haha. Today they're worshipping that same frog and calling it Kek. What was that verse we read? Oh yeah, Deuteronomy. Deuteronomy 28:64. Read from the English Standard Version here. It says, and the Lord will scatter you among all peoples from one end of the earth to the other. And there you shall serve other gods of wood and stone, which neither you nor your fathers have known. And we now see this manifest in those who worship a fucking cartoon frog. Your life is nothing more than an example, and a pathetic example of what happens when you disobey God's law. Your life is nothing. The purpose for your life, you've made it so that you worship cartoon frogs. That's the purpose of your life. And God is using your life to say, look at this pathetic piece of shit. This is what happens when you disobey. Man, I can't imagine living that sad of an existence. And I really do feel bad for people who are like, praise Kek, because this is exactly it. From one end of the earth to the other. They're in lands that they don't belong in, worshiping gods that, well, like the Bible says, wood and stone, or in this case, drawn in MS Paint and totems bought from Amazon. Worshipping consumer items. Worshipping consumer items. You people are... You're the people that are going to make America great again, huh? When you are hell-bent on being living emblems of your tribe's obsolescence. Well, let's just be blunt here. And you know what? I'm going to read Deuteronomy 28. I'm going to read it in full. From English Standard Version. So, sometimes the King James, it's a lot different than how we talk nowadays, so... Whereas English Standard Version, it's... Yeah, I mean, I'm not saying this is the translation. There's nothing wrong with if there's something in one translation you don't understand, there's nothing wrong with cross-referencing it. And with all these Bible websites, it's really easy to do. So we'll read from English Standard. There are people in my audience who speak English as a second language, so if any of them are listening, this will be easier to follow, I think. So this is from Deuteronomy 28. I'm going to read it. And if you faithfully obey the voice of the Lord your God, being careful to do all his commandments that I command you today, the Lord your God will set you high above all the nations of the earth. And all these blessings shall come upon you and overtake you, if you obey the voice of the Lord your God. Blessed shall you be in the city, and blessed shall you be in the field. Blessed shall be the fruit of your womb, and the fruit of your ground, and the fruit of your cattle, the increase of your herds, and the young of your flock. Blessed shall be your basket and your kneading bowl. Blessed shall you be when you come in, and blessed shall you be when you go out. The Lord will cause your enemies who rise against you to be defeated before you. They shall come out against you one way and flee before you 7 ways. The Lord will command the blessing on you in your barns and in all that you undertake. And he will bless you in the land and that the Lord your God is giving you. The Lord will establish you as a people holy to himself, as he has sworn to you, if you keep the commandments of the Lord your God and walk in his ways. And all the peoples of the earth shall see that you are called by the name of the Lord, and they shall be afraid of you. And the Lord will make you abound in prosperity, in the fruit of your womb, and in the fruit of your livestock, and in the fruit of your ground, within the land that the Lord swore your fathers to give you. The Lord will open you to his good treasury, the heavens, to give the rain to your land in its season, and to bless all the work of your hands. And you shall lend to many nations, but you shall not borrow. And the Lord will make you the head and not the tail, and you shall only go up and not down, if you obey the commandments of the Lord your God, which I command you today, being careful to do them. And if you do not turn aside from any of the words that I command you today, to the right hand or to the left, to go after other gods to serve them. But if you will not obey the voice of the Lord your God, be careful to do all his commandments and statutes that I command you today. Then all these curses shall come upon you and overtake you. Cursed shall be you in the city, and cursed shall be you in the field. Cursed shall be your basket and your kneading bowl. Cursed shall be the fruit of your womb, and the fruit of your ground, the increase of your herds, and the young of your flock. Cursed shall you be when you come in, and cursed shall you be when you go out. It is chilling in how accurate that is when applied to America and Europe again. Cursed shall you be in the city, and cursed shall you be in the field. Migrants overtaking rural German towns comes to mind, if we are to apply this to contemporary events. But we'll continue to read. The Lord will send you on curses, confusion, and frustration in all that you undertake to do until you are destroyed and perish quickly on account of the evil of your deeds, because you have forsaken me. The Lord will make the pestilence stick to you until he has consumed you off the land that you are entering to take possession of it. The Lord will strike you with wasting disease, and with fever, inflammation, and fiery heat, and with drought, and with blight, and with mildew. They shall pursue you until you perish, and the heavens over your head shall be bronze, and the earth under you shall be iron. The Lord will make the rain of your land powder. From heaven dust shall come down on you until you are destroyed. The Lord will cause you to be defeated before your enemies. You shall go out one way against them and flee 7 ways before them, and you shall be a horror to all the kingdoms of the earth. And your dead body shall be food for all birds of the air and for the beasts of the earth, and there shall be no one to frighten them away. The Lord will strike you with the boils of Egypt and with tumors and scabs and itch, of which you cannot be healed. The Lord will strike you with madness and blindness and confusion of mind, and you shall grope at noonday, as the blind grope in darkness, and you shall not prosper in your ways. And you shall only be oppressed and robbed continually, and there shall be no one to help you. You shall betroth a wife, but another man shall ravish her. You shall build a house, but you shall not dwell in it. You shall plant a vineyard, but you shall not enjoy its fruit. Your ox shall be slaughtered before your eyes, but you shall not eat any of it. Your donkey shall be seized before your face, but shall not be restored to you. Your sheep shall be given to your enemies, but there shall be no one to help you. Your sons and your daughters shall be given to another people, while your eyes look on and fail with longing for them all day long. But you shall be helpless. A nation that you have not known shall eat up the fruit of your ground and of all your labors, and you shall be only oppressed and crushed continually, so that you are driven mad by the sights that your eyes see. The Lord will strike you on the knees and on the legs with grievous boils of which you cannot be healed, from the sole of your foot to the crown of your head. The Lord will bring you and your king, whom you set over you, to a nation that neither you nor your fathers have known, and there you shall serve other gods of wood and stone, and you shall become a horror, a proverb, and a byword among all the peoples where the Lord will lead you away. You shall carry much seed into the field, and shall gather in little, for the locust shall consume it. You shall plant vineyards and dress them, but you shall neither drink of the wine, nor gather the grapes, for the worm shall eat them. You shall have olive trees throughout all your territory, but you shall not anoint yourself with oil, for your olives shall drop off. You shall father sons and daughters, but they shall not be yours, for they shall go into captivity. The cricket shall possess all your trees and the fruit of your ground. The sojourner who is among you shall rise higher and higher above you, and you shall come down lower and lower. He shall lend to you, and you shall not lend to him. He shall be the head, and you shall be the tail. Let's repeat that. The sojourner who is among you shall rise higher and higher above you, and you shall come down lower and lower. He shall lend to you, and you shall not lend to him. He shall be the head, and you shall be the tail. That is the absolute perfect response to the criticism that Christianity, they value the other. They're a cuck religion because they value the other. Again, that's Deuteronomy 28:43 through 44. You see, God uses the other to punish those who are disobedient. That is what a sojourner is. an alien, an outsider, an other. But we shall continue reading Deuteronomy now. All these curses shall come upon you and pursue you and overtake you till you are destroyed, because you did not obey the voice of the Lord your God to keep his commandments and his statutes that he commanded you. They shall be a sign and a wonder against you and your offspring forever, because you did not serve the Lord your God with joyfulness and gladness of heart, because of the abundance of all things. Therefore you shall serve your enemies, whom the Lord will send against you, in hunger and thirst, in nakedness, and lacking everything. And he will put a yoke of iron on your neck until he has destroyed you. The Lord will bring a nation against you from far away, from the end of the earth, swooping down like the eagle, a nation whose language you do not understand, a hard-faced nation who shall not respect the old or show mercy to the young. It shall eat the offspring of your cattle and the fruit of your ground until you are destroyed. It shall not leave you grain, wine, or oil, the increase of your herds or the young of your flock, until they have caused you to perish. They shall besiege you in all your towns until your high and fortified walls, in which you trusted, come down throughout all your land. And they shall besiege you in all your towns throughout all your land, which the Lord your God has given you. And you shall eat the fruit of your womb, the flesh of your sons and daughters, whom the Lord your God has given you, in the siege and in the distress which your enemies shall distress you. The man who is the most tender and refined among you will begrudge food to his brother, to the wife he embraces, and to the last of the children whom he has left, so that he will not give to any of them any of the flesh of his children whom he is eating, because he has nothing else left. In the siege and in the distress with which your enemy shall distress you in all your towns, the most tender and refined woman among you, who would not venture to set the sole of her foot on the ground because she is so delicate and tender, will begrudge to the husband she embraces, to her son and to her daughter, her afterbirth that comes out from between her feet, and her children whom she bears, because lacking everything she will eat them secretly, in the siege and in the distress with which your enemy shall distress you in your towns. If you are not careful to do all the words of this law that are written in this book, that you may fear this glorious and awesome name, the Lord your God, then the Lord will bring on you and your offspring extraordinary afflictions, afflictions severe and lasting, and sickness grievous and lasting. And he will bring upon you again all the diseases of Egypt, of which you were afraid, and they shall cling to you. Every sickness also and every affliction that is not recorded in the book of this law, the Lord will bring upon you until you are destroyed. Whereas you are as numerous as the stars of heaven, you shall be left few in number, because you did not obey the voice of the Lord your God. And as the Lord took delight in you doing good and multiplying you, so the Lord will take delight in bringing ruin upon you and destroying you, and you shall be plucked off the land that you are entering to take possession of it. And the Lord will scatter you among all peoples from one end of the earth to the other. And there you shall serve other gods of wood and stone, which neither you nor your fathers have known. And among these nations you shall find no respite, and there shall be no resting place for the sole of your foot, but the Lord will give you there a trembling heart and failing eyes, and a languishing soul. Your life shall hang in doubt before you. Night and day you shall be in dread and have no assurance of your life. In the morning you shall say, if only it were evening, and at evening you shall say, if only it were morning, because of the dread that your heart shall feel, and the sights that your eyes shall see. And the Lord will bring you back in ships to Egypt, a journey that I promised that you should never make again, and there you shall offer yourselves for sale to your enemies as male and female slaves, but there will be no buyer. Late stage European civilization. Your only purpose for existing is to prove God right.